reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at.
Hello there, my name is Harry and I'm your host for MMO Reporter episode 171. Chris is not joining us today, and unfortunately Layanor isn't either, but we have our number one most important co-host of the MMO Reporter Network with us. Say hello, Bill.
Hello, Bill. That was easy. You put it up on a tee, and yeah. I feel like I could have delivered better there.
I know I can count on you for this. So
I think that's probably the oldest podcasting joke there was. I bet you if you went back and found the very first podcast that anybody's ever recorded, that's exactly what it was. The host saying, "Say hello, Jim," and Jim, of course, says, "Hello, Jim." That I'm sure is in the archives somewhere.
But it would be in Latin, because that would be in a podcast from ancient Rome. Maybe we should not ham on this. Let's just start with what we usually start with, and I'm very curious what you've been doing in the game this week in games.
Well, I can probably reference the last 3 or 4 shows in a row, and it's going to be pretty standard. I have played Guild Wars 2. I have enjoyed Guild Wars 2. It's been fun, and I've also played Diablo 3. And you know, I mean, Diablo is good. I'm now going into adventure mode, so I'm not playing through the story or anything like that. And I'm coming to the conclusion that I am playing Diablo 3 to be one of the cool kids. I am not yet level 70. All my friends are level 70 and have been forever. They're getting these fantastic legendary drops all the time in chat while I'm trucking along with these early 60s tripe. And
Lava Lands,
so it's not even playing to have fun. I need to catch up with the Joneses. I need to be one of the cool kids. So it's that realization has kind of made it a little bit less fun and more like a chore. But I'm still playing. It's all good.
You sound oddly like the way Chris plays Elder Scrolls Online. You don't hate Diablo. It's something to do.
It's more than that. I do actually enjoy it, and there's very few games out there where I actually get excited to see a drop. Like Guild Wars 2, for all its fun, you never get anything exciting as a drop, or at least I very rarely do with the style that I play, which is mainly just wandering around doing world bosses and map exploration and that kind of thing. So there's the odd interesting thing that drops, but nothing that's really bone-jarringly awesome. Whereas in Diablo, anytime you get a chance to see that beautiful golden brown text come up and the little icon appear and that little ray of tawny brown shooting into the sky, lovely.
You really got something then. Yeah, I know the feeling. That's the same thing they do with Hearthstone. They make you feel it is an event when you get a legendary rare card.
Ooh, that was actually the other thing I did just to shake it up. I did actually log into Hearthstone and mess around in the menus, so that almost counts as a little bit of variation for me. But I got my pack that came with buying Reaper of Souls for Diablo 3, and I actually got a rare in there. And yeah, they do make it. It's the big ka-chunk and ka-shing, like you're pulling your sword out of the sheath, and it's an event.
It is. Blizzard does that very well, and I agree. In Guild Wars 2, loot is never. It's never about loot, and that's not a bad thing. But you notice that you miss it once the novelty of the event system wears off. You think, where's my loot? There's
you want to be a gameplay snob, but practically, sometimes you just want to pull the lever and get a win.
You just want something cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. I was just going to say, speaking of something cool, how about yourself? What did you play this week?
I'm still on Final Fantasy 14, and when I'm saying I'm still on it, it is like a drug. I'm now a full-fledged healer. I got the scholar job, which means that my previous DPS focused class is now full healer, and it is interesting. I've played healers in different games, and the way it works in Final Fantasy 14, at least this class, is fun and a little bit boring. Because the scholar is a pet class, and you have a fairy floating around you, and you can choose between two fairies, and one of them is your healer fairy, and the other is the buffer fairy. I did not realize that this was the way it worked, because I just went in there, the first dungeon, assuming that I was the one to have to spam heal all the time. And I was getting a little bit mad and frustrated that apparently somebody was healing somebody else every time before my heal spell was completed. I was like, why am I wasting mana? Everybody's getting healed. Who is doing this? And it turns out I was doing that because the pet automatically heals. And especially on the lower, in the lower tier dungeons, that basically means just walk with everybody and look around. That's basically it.
I have this beautiful vision of Harry in group chat yelling out, "Who's bogarting my heels?"
I almost did, and the good thing is I'm playing on PlayStation 4 and putting the keyboard on my lap and activating the Bluetooth connection. It takes 10 seconds, but it's a little bit too much of a bother to yell angrily through the keyboard. So it's kind of a good asshole filter.
I was gonna say there's probably a life lesson in there somewhere.
It is. It makes you think before you type. So, and I also know I did a kind of hard dungeon. It's called Hokim Manor. It's kind of a haunted house theme. Very cool. A bit Mario haunted house like. So not entirely serious. It's more like you're in Disneyland or something. But it's a tough dungeon with a tough final boss fight. And we wiped because it was the first time I was healing there, and I didn't know exactly the routine. As you know, that's what happens. And luckily, the people in my group were not angry or yelling at me. They were fine with it. But after you die, you have to rebuff everybody, and I forgot to recall my pet. And then I noticed his or her, I've not determined gender yet, utility, because all of a sudden I was like, it's crazy. You're actually playing the traditional whack-a-mole that every health bar is going down and you don't have enough time to spam the heal spell. So it is an interesting class that you need to be on your toes on the harder dungeons, but you definitely need that assistant floating around you. You can place it in range of the tank and focus on. It's very tactical. It's an interesting system, but as usual in lower levels, it's a bit too easy. Then you know what I mean? It's all absolutely tuned for the more difficult level 30 and upward dungeons.
Well, it almost unfortunately opens the door too to the notion that of actual heal bots, like there's a mechanic out there, or there's a way that you could play the game that basically just summon your pet. You could almost go on auto follow and walk away for a while, at least for like the first trash part of the dungeon or something like that.
Oh yeah, you could absolutely, because every time a character, another player goes to 70% health, then the pet starts to heal and also spams a group heal over time whenever the cooldown is over. So every low level pool, or just the trash pools, are just and I just started DPSing because just to have something to do, not because that was necessary, because was bored out of my brain. I almost fell asleep. Okay, but I'm still enjoying it, and just to switch things up, I also switched to my secondary class for a while to heal as a level 15 character in the first dungeon, and without the pet, you really sweat.
Yeah.
Hey, that's an actual, but it works. It's fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I feel that's the start of your next song.
Yes. No.
No.
No song should have the word sweat in it. That doesn't work.
The CNC Music Factory just ruined it for everybody.
I think so. And finally, well, I played a lot of other things, but they are all under NDA, so I'm not allowed to say. I'm probably allowed to say what game I'm playing, but not anything else, so I'm not even going to bother. But I did play Etrian Odyssey Untold. And have you ever heard of the Etrian Odyssey? Etrian Odyssey series?
I have never. That was going to be the question was right on my lips.
It is a dungeon crawler on the DS or 3DS now, and it's a maybe you know the Wizardry games of old, which are first-person dungeon crawler games, and they go back to that style of game, but I love this. I played the first part back in 2007 when it came out. It uses the DS second screen and the stylus. To allow you to force you to make a map of the game. So you actually have this map screen that you have to pencil in the boxes and make notes on it, and it feels very old school, but obviously not because it's on a modern handheld. And the series has been doing quite well with a select niche audience. And this 3DS game, Etrian Odyssey Untold, is a remake of the first game they released, but then upgraded to their most modern engine, and they added for the first time a story. Before it was just you create your own characters and go, and now they've actually put a story in there. And I love this type of game because I remember playing text adventures and making maps on graph paper, and this is just like that, but then with a dungeon crawler.
So how do they force you to keep that map? Like, do you actually, like, does the game fall apart if you're not tracking yourself on that second screen?
Well, you will get lost because it's tile-based. So on your second screen, every time you make, and turn-based as well. So every time you move forward or whatever, you move another tile ahead. And it does paint every tile you visited green on the map screen, but doesn't put the borders around it. So you don't, if you don't keep track of your map, you will get lost because it is an actual maze, and you will not find all the secrets or corridors, and will be running around forever. And it's quite satisfying because you have all the time in the world to make that map. Even when you get your random combat, it's turn-based, and even while the combat screen is up, the map screen is still there, and you can even still write on it. So they don't want you to rush through this. You just have the time to do the things you need to do.
That's just downright clever. I think that's actually pretty cool.
It is, and it's if you are interested in old school dungeon crawling or map making or both, then this is a fantastic game to play. So the series is, I think the fourth part was released last year, and I think the one I'm playing now is already out in the US as well, but Europe usually gets these things a little later, especially the niche titles. We still have to wait for those.
US is just basically beta testing it for you guys.
Well, since it came out of Japan, I have a good feeling that we're actually third. Oh. So if there are any bugs, no. So that's, apart from all the stuff I cannot talk about, that's what I can talk about. I've had fun. And I think this is a good moment to jump into something new.
So this story, there's not many stories that actually jump out and grab me by the collar and slap me in the face and say, you have to put this in the show notes right now. This, grab me by the collar, slap me in the face. We talked about Archeage a little bit a couple weeks ago. A new sandbox MMO coming out with the big hook, as you're about to hear, is, or one of the big hooks anyway, is the justice system in the game. So let me just paint a quick picture of how the justice system works here. As you play, there's certain activities in the game that are crimes, which are kind of like real life. Killing somebody is a crime. Stealing somebody's stuff is a crime. And what happens is, or the mechanic in the game is, that as you do these things in game that are bad and against the rules, you get a debuff. And it builds up over time. It's like you get points for the crime that you commit, and varying points depending on the severity of the crime. So we're in the alpha stage of Archeage right now too. So this is just starting to play out. There was one fella that came out in the forums that earned himself over 100 charges against him, 100 like murder and stealing and theft and everything like that. And the beauty of the system that we're coming to here is that when you die with that debuff on you, you go to court. You have a jury of 5 peers that hear you plead your case and then sentence you or not, depending on how you plead your case. So the jury here sentenced this guy to 770 minutes in jail. So that's the quick math for you out there is 12 hours and 50 minutes. Now, jail in Archeage is basically a pen where you're fenced in and you can stand around. You're basically being put into timeout because you've been bad. So this guy got to spend 12 hours and 50 minutes of actual game time. So it's not like you could log out and then come back 12 hours later and start playing again. This is game time that you're being punished. And I laughed out loud when I read this. The notion of it is brilliant. I love this.
It's a fantastic idea, and what I'm really trying to wrap my head around is the idea that you have a justice system that includes a jury of 5 of your peers in game. Mm-hmm. So what could possibly go wrong there?
I love it too. Now you do have an option. Like there's if you die with a crime debuff on you, you have an option to just take a penalty, and there's a certain amount of time that you can be given based on the amount of crime charges against you, and you can just accept your timeout and move on. The jury thing is kind of like your appeal. Like this is your chance to maybe weasel out of it.
It has to have the Law and Order sound. Dun, dun.
I love that.
Oh, but can you imagine? But the thing is, if you as a jury, this is the fatal flaw in the system. As a jury, you know that the only reason that this person is standing before you is because he was guilty. Because otherwise, you're not brought to court. Mm-hmm. So there is no way somebody's going to convince the jury of being innocent.
Well, I can sort of see it. Like you could maybe justify murder by saying he was asking for it. He called me a name.
He was asking to be killed. I did him a favor.
I did the world a favor. Well, that's the thing.
He was ugly.
What if you get brought up on murder charges when you killed someone who was just absolutely heinous, the worst troll in the game, and you just step up into the stand and you say, I killed troll number 1, and they send you off scot-free. Like, I could totally see that happening, and I think that's brilliant.
There should be more than there should be testimony and witnesses and depositions and evidence. Mm-hmm. And they should turn this into a courtroom drama. And there should be a Matlock-like guy who gets everybody off. Well, and you know, this is a thing. But this is what bugs me. Whenever I watch a court drama, a 70s or 80s court show, you absolutely for a fact know that the guy on trial was innocent. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing you're certain of when you're watching Perry Mason. The guy who's defended by Perry Mason didn't do it.
Of course.
And that's not happening here. This is a complete opposite. There is no surprise witness saying, I did it. Well, maybe there will be, but I want that. I want this to go further. That's what I want.
You see, well,
I want
and that's the thing.
drama.
I think there's got to be a natural progression here where you've got a class in game or a trade skill of being a lawyer where you go and defend people in court, and you've got bonuses to reduce time served or something like that, and you get exorbitant fees for it.
Oh, you know what we need? We need a nephew system. So that I can be Jessica Fletcher, and then my nephew will be up on charge. It's always her nephew. She has nephews up to wazoo, and she comes in, and I will have no problem playing an elderly woman because I love Murder, She Wrote, and I'll be the one to prove him innocent. I want that.
Yeah,
that's my MMO. That's all I would play.
Oh, this is brilliant. Anyway, so this is
the prison. You forgot something. Did you tell about the tunneling system?
Oh, of course,
Right.
that's the best part.
Yeah.
So your time in prison, you're not necessarily just standing there. It's like a little prison yard. So it's fenced off. Apparently there's a ball you could kick around, which I imagine you could probably get some gameplay value out of for like 5 minutes or something like that. It doesn't say whether you're actually in prison with other prisoners, but
Yes, you are. I've seen a video.
Oh yeah? Well, how? Okay, so again, speaking of natural progressions, someone's got to be like, there's got to be like a crafting skill to be able to make a shiv or something like that. And I could just see this infinite loop of jail time of stabbing other prisoners or something like that forever. But
it's even better. Go on.
Anyway, so the best part of being in jail is that there's a possibility for you can actually tunnel your way out, apparently. So if you're sneaky and clever and your tunneling skill is apparently high enough, you could actually sneak out without serving your time. I'm assuming if you get caught that you serve more time, but
Well, actually, I'm looking. There's this little video about a guy who's going through the court system, and it changed him. You can really tell from the voiceover. But in the prison yard, I see several player characters wearing prison uniforms tunneling. They're not. It's not the Great Escape thing that they're moving the dirt in their trousers and discreetly disposing of it. I see an entire field like they have the world's biggest mole problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not subtle. That's what I'm saying. And there is a little soccer goal on the field, so you can actually play soccer with your your fellow inmates.
Oh, okay. Well, there you. So a little bit of something there, and to be fair, it is all alpha, so who knows how jail develops. I could just see that everybody's going to enjoy going to jail more than they enjoy playing the game, and jail is going to be the most developed feature in the entire Archeage system.
I wonder if you go to jail if you have illegal potions on you.
Oh, there you go. Trumped up charges. The cops are going to plant it on you.
Oh God, yes! I want to be able to plant evidence.
Yeah. Oh, we got lawyer classes. We've got corrupt cop classes. I mean, this game writes itself.
Yeah, we don't need no stinking fantasy. We just need this.
Oh, maybe they'll take the Rust model where they wanted to make it a zombie game, but realize that all anyone likes is just going to jail. So
here's hoping. Speaking of hope, you hoped that Dust 514 would eventually, or actually, you wanted it on PC from day one.
Mm-hmm.
You said that stinking console doesn't deserve a game like Dust 514. I distinctly remember you saying that.
I was offended. I was offended that it was on PS3 and that PC gamers were treated as second-class citizens.
Well, it turns out that you were basically saved the pain of playing Dust 514. So, because I did play it, and the only reason I played it was because I was so deep into EVE Online that I just felt I needed more EVE, even when my PC was turned off. which is odd because it's always on. But Dust 514 on the PlayStation 3 is not an unqualified success, and most reviews have been average at best. And that I think that's being too generous because it's not a good game. The shooter mechanics are meh, and the leveling up system is good on paper, but it doesn't work. But they have apparently, CCP, have learned from what happened on the PS3, and they are redoing the game, or basically doing a new version of it called Project Legion, which is a PC free-to-play shooter. And if you read a little bit between the lines, they say that they do say that Dust 514 will continue to have updates, and they also say they're not exactly sure if and when Legion will actually release, but if it is released and if it is a success, PlayStation 3 players will be able to migrate their characters to Legion, to the PC. That's what it says.
Downright exciting because, well, by the time it comes out, the PS3 is going to have a little bit of dust on it. The PS4 will be out there. I'm assuming Dust 514 is not available on PS4 because
you assume correctly. Yeah,
the whole backwards compatibility thing with both new consoles is just non-existent. So
well, they did port DC Universe Online to. That was one of the first. It was actually a launch game on the PS4. I've played it a bit for lack of other games. And there are a couple of games, a couple of free-to-play games that have moved to the PlayStation 4, and it seems to be a very well-suited platform for free-to-play games. So I wouldn't rule it out, but I do think that CCP felt a little bit burnt by the low reception of the game, and I don't think it's just the quality. I think it's both a matter of quality, but also. Yeah,
I was gonna say I'm really getting the sense from CCP that they're going back to their bread and butter. They're going back to what they know works, and that's obviously Eve was their big thing. They got rid of the whole White Wolf game. They were geez, I've even forgotten what the game's called now. It's been
yeah, it's already out of your mind.
Exactly, yeah. but they're obviously going back to their core features, their core success. So they're building up Eve into this bigger, better thing. So getting back to the PC, building an Eve shooter, maybe Project Legion succeeds on the PC.
Well, maybe they use the things they've also learned from World of Darkness, which is the game you couldn't remember. And I actually took a few 30 gut-wrenching seconds to think like, oh my God, I'm getting old. I don't remember the name of a game we talked about last week. But well, they did say they're going to do. They in the article they say that the game isn't as awesome as it should have been, and they lack the features that it lacked the features it should have. What I really hope is that take a good look at what Planetfall 2 does right. And I hope they will add some politics and some persistence and some sandbox elements, which are the things that make Eve great. And because it didn't have all those things. There wasn't an open world. It was an arena-based shooter like Call of Duty with an Eve Online sauce, if you will, covering, skin. So I'm very happy to see that they finally have taken the hint and moved back to the actual shooter platform.
Well, and like you mentioned, the adding the extra Eve sauce to the whole experience, also writing this article or writing this story is they showed a trailer for Valkyrie, which was pretty interesting, and it looks fantastic on the Unreal 4 engine. At the very end, they added a little trailer for Eve: The Prophecy, which kind of I won't spoil the trailer for you, but it implies that it's the tagline for the Eve: The Prophecy trailer is "One Universe, One War," which in a story that talks about Valkyrie and Legion and obviously Eve itself, kind of implies that, oh, we're going to just roll this all up into one thing, and it's going to be ways of shooting and then jumping into your spaceship and then shooting other spaceships and then mining for ore and then creating the apocalypse. I don't know, but this is exciting. Actually, I think it's really cool to see CCP's vision coalescing.
it was their vision from the start to have Dust 514 be a meaningful part of the EVE universe, but they just didn't do it, or at least didn't manage to get the message across of what they were trying to do. And I think it also has to do with the whole walking in stations debacle, that they probably had more integration in mind when they had the idea of having gameplay on stations and on planets. And I would not have been surprised if that road was actually walked, that the pilot avatar from Eve would be able to go to the PlayStation 3 game and talk to the mercenaries on the ground in some form or other. But those things never materialized, and I think that's where the games really diverged too much. But I think this is a good thing, do-over, and I think more companies should do do-overs when things don't work, because it doesn't mean that your original idea was flawed. It just means you need to do it again.
Well, and that's the opportunity they gave themselves by having one good product that they built their foundation on. And I mean, I guess you could give them some credit for trying a couple of new things, but you also then have to give credit for them realizing that, hey, this one thing is what we were good at, so let's get back to it.
Yeah, and this next story, Bill, I think well, should we skip it? Chris wouldn't definitely find this
Chris,
important.
I think as an homage to Chris, who, in case anyone is wondering, he sent us a message 5 minutes before the show started saying that he needed to go wash his hair. So he missed the opportunity to talk about this. So we'll give it a quick mention for... Yeah. So Wildstar is officially going into open beta week this week for May 8th to 18th. Apparently anyone will be able to play now, so maybe that'll include me this time. We'll see. New level cap. You can play to level 30, and there'll be live stream events and stuff will happen. So if you haven't had a chance to try Wildstar and you're Wildstar curious, this is your chance to see if it's for you before their early June release.
I recommend people giving it a try. It's the game oozes personality, has a lot of humor in it, and is fun to play. Yep. And I can't wait for the game to be free to play a couple of months after the launch.
Yeah, I think I actually could hear Chris
cringe there,
yelling through the shampoo. No. But no, it is good. Like it's, I don't mean to come off as meh because it's a meh game. I actually do like it, and it's probably my favorite MMO coming out in 2014, I think. And yeah, there you go. There's your chance to try it out.
Speaking of free to play, this is something that kind of surprises me. And maybe again not. Defiance, the shooter from Tryon Worlds, that is tied into the Sci-Fi Channel TV show by the same name, Defiance, about a post-apocalyptic Earth where different alien races band together with humanity, but again not, and fight and whatever. This TV show shooter spawned a shooter for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC, and it will be going free to play on July 15th. Which is an interesting choice since the game was subscriptionless. It was a buy-to-play game. If you bought the box, it was fully open to you. The fact that they're now going free-to-play tells me that nobody bought the box.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. Now, I haven't tried it, so I don't know. I've actually never tried the TV series either. I'm that guy. And did you give Defiance a go?
I played it and I reviewed it, and I must say I've reviewed the Xbox 360 version because that was my assignment if I chose to accept it, and it blew up in my face. It didn't run well. The PC version, on the other hand, ran wonderfully. It's a tad generic sci-fi, but it is a fun third-person shooter type game, and there are a lot of nods from Rift to this game. For example, the Rift's They're called arcfalls here, and they're these big just drop-in events for players. And it has it has some good ideas. It's an interesting and fun science fiction shooter that's definitely not like Tabula Rasa.
Definitely not like Tabula Rasa.
Yeah, it's very unlike Tabula Rasa, but it's the only third-person shooter sci-fi MMO that comes to mind.
Yeah.
So it's the only, but the Xbox version is actually fun as long as there aren't too many players on screen. That's just hardware problems, because then the game turns into a slideshow. So in this next slide, we were actually shooting the alien. And the slide afterwards is me being dead without knowing it. It's really, but it's if you are in a small group or you're doing the PvE content and there isn't too much happening, it's a fun game. This is a game that should go to the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. This is a game that should benefit from some upgraded graphics, better performance, and still be a very fun shooter to play.
And this and I'm sort of hoping that it will. Like this was obviously the big experiment of TV media crossing with online gaming and seeing what plays out. Now the TV show, as I understand, has been picked up for a second season. They're teeing that up to start up. I think also in June-ish. So. Now, are these two things like inextricably tied? Will the game always run as long as the TV show is being re-upped, or will the TV show keep getting re-upped as long as the game is viable, or do you think they could possibly be separated? Like, could the TV show carry on if the game gets let go?
I'm pretty sure the TV show is their main thing. I think that's still the thing they make the most money off. But I don't. It's not like the Defiance game is tied so heavily into the story. The things they promised, and we've talked about this in the show. They promised that the events in the game would really interact with what happens in the TV show, but it never moved past a name drop or a character model portrait in the background or something like that from the game into the TV show. It never was this full integration of stories. There are crossovers from TV to game, obviously. I mean, you see plot lines and characters cross over, but there's no true interaction. So it's not. I think the TV show needs the game less than the game needs the TV show to be interesting. And I didn't find the TV show that interesting, to be quite honest.
Oh.
I couldn't bear the pilot.
Oh, yeah, and like I said, I'll probably have to give it a go. Now that there's a full season to complete, I should probably give it a good effort.
That is actually a good idea. Just binge watch one season. If you still like it, then...
Yep.
And then the game is free for you from June 3rd. And maybe a little background info on that. If you own the box, the current digital or boxed copy of the game, you will have 4 character slots, while the new free players will only have 2 character slots. You will have 5 loadouts as a paid player, 2 loadouts as a non-paid player. There are more inventory slots on your existing character than there are if you are a new character. And there is this kind of premium pass system that they have, and I cannot really quickly find what the benefit would be for paying a subscription for a game that used to be without a subscription.
It looks like currency to buy stuff that you could probably buy with money instead if you.
Yeah, but there's also a 30-day Paradise Patron Pass.
Yeah. So.
No idea what that does. But so there are some differences now. So if you manage to find a copy, if you are interested in this game and you see a copy lying around somewhere, grab it now, because it will give you some benefits over free players after the game goes F2P.
F2P. There you go.
So that's basically our list of stories for the week. We hope to have informed you thusly. And I will thank now our sponsors who make all of this and more possible on the MMO Reporter network. First sponsor I would like to thank for their help is Doghouse. Doghouse Systems will build your PC to your specifications, and if you use the coupon code MMO Reporter at doghousesystems.com, you will double your RAM for free. So if you order a PC with 8 gigs and you use MMO Reporter at checkout, you will get 16 for the price of 8, which is a deal you cannot beat. Secondly, one of my favorite services in the world, Audible. Audible is the provider of the most excellent collection of audiobooks. You can go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter and get your first month free. That first month includes a credit for a free audiobook, which is yours to keep forever, even if you decide not to continue your subscription. But why would you not continue your subscription? Because your subscription will give you a free audiobook every month, plus discounts to the purchase of other books and a whole slew of extras. So go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter for your first month free. Bill, I would be honored if you would tell our dear listeners how they can get in touch with us, with the show.
Get ready with your pens and pencils, because there's a ton of ways that everybody can reach us here. You can head over to MMOReporter.com to find the MMO Reporter podcast, as well as all our brother and sister podcasts for other games and events that happen online with other players. You can send us emails to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/MMOReporter. You can tweet at any of us. You can tweet at MMO_reporter. You can tweet at Harry Hall for the fellow who actually showed up. You can tweet at Layanor, and you can also tweet at MMO Bill for yours truly. You can give us a call at 616-666-6778, or click on the widget on the right side of MMOReporter.com. Send us a message. Tell us what you think. And finally, you can find us over on YouTube, youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network for game conference coverage, live stream or cache live stream, and all kinds of other goodness there to watch and listen to. And that is how you do the MMO Reporter contact game.
Almost. So close.
Almost. It was right there. I fumbled. I fell down on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, well, oh well. That 1 yard, we can still make it.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill, I would like to thank you for showing up for me in the morning.
Somebody had to. It was good.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
We're not going to like it, damn it, but we'll do it, damn it. Okay, Bill, you're the only one to think. Well, as Steve was there as usual. Thank you, Steve.
Gee, yeah. Steve.
Yeah. I'd like to thank myself. No, I don't.
Why, you're welcome, Harry. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you do? Thank welcome, Harry.
Yeah. Anyway, before this, really, we were so coherent up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
But you're punchy, and I just woke up, so I don't think we should push our luck. Instead, I'd like to thank our listeners. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip. Our listener. His name is Joe. I would like to thank our listeners for listening and downloading the show, and I definitely hope you will download this show or next episodes again. And most of all, we hope to see you in-game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got.